Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP. And this is a bad day for me, so if you are triggered by mental health things, with everything else that is in that umbrella, then just watch one of my other videos. This video is going to be talking about panic and anxiety and disability and stuff. So I was at the Neuro rehab, which are the people, it's kind of like the Autism Center, you could say, but they deal with other disabilities as well. And yeah, I got, it was to talk about my accommodations from the state, that was kind of the idea. Thing is, she talked about what the state can give me. Basically, there are tons of different things, but not applicable to me because I have a job, and because I live on my own, and I'm considered to be high functioning. So there's a lot that doesn't apply to me. However, what does apply to me is that I might get a social worker that comes to my home to watch me as I do chores and tasks. And that idea alone is enough to send me into a spiral of panic. And I got into a panic and started crying in front of this person that I met at the Neuro rehab, because this triggered so many things in me. And one of them is social anxiety, like having a new person come into my house and judge me. Not great. I also, have kind of avoidant personality kind of stuff, so that makes it even more like triggering to me. I also, autism, I don't like things changing, and I don't like things being differently than the way that I usually do things, and I have a pretty rigid thinking. And also social interactions, not really my thing, and I don't really like having social interactions with new people. So and I also seem to have the PDA profile of autism, which is pathological demand avoidance, or persistent drive for autonomy, depending on who you ask. And anybody telling me what to do, or expecting me to do certain things, or even recommending me to do something in a certain way, is enough to drive my fight or flight mode like crazy. And I can't really explain it, but I am so glad that PDA as a term exists, because it explains a lot. Where it's like, I don't know why, I've been a very obedient little girl throughout my life, but like the PDA is like so irrational at times, and it's like, just the fact that somebody is going to be there telling me what to do, or just even recommending that I do things in a certain way, it's like I'm going to die. I'm so in such a panic that I'm afraid that if I get this help, that I will get a panic attack. Just the fact that they come into my house, And so I got into a panic. In the end, after the visit, I ended up calling my friend, which, I also hate phone calls, but it was so bad that I felt like, okay, I need to call my best friend. So I called him, and he was really supportive, and I'm really glad for that, because it feels like I'm alone against the world. And that's because my psychologist has been on sick leave for about 2 months now, more than 2 months. And apparently there is no occupational therapist that works at the Neuro rehab. There is supposed to be 4 that work, but at the moment it's only 1. And that one that works only is taking her current patients from before. The reason for that is because the Neuro rehab is not getting any money because this is public health care, which sucks. It went to the point where I actually told the person, because I was feeling so bad, all the feelings started coming up. And I told her, I've been feeling so bad, I've actually been thinking about death. And she recommended, try Mindler. Mindler is kind of, like BetterHelp, kind of digital therapist. It's kind of awful when you've come to the point of public health care cannot provide a psychologist or a therapist or anybody, and will go so far as to recommend, a digital private app, that felt depressing. And but I thanked her, because I was just like, where do I turn to? What do I do if I feel like my world is falling apart? Because we weren't supposed to be talking about my health, but once I started going on that route, I decided I needed to tell her that I wasn't doing well. And yeah, so it was supposed to be a half-hour visit, and it ended up being an hour, because I ended up, using up a bit of time, just like crying. And yeah, so she was trying to show like how the social worker will not, they have patient secrecy. They also, it won't be my patient who will be the social worker. These are things that are real worries that I have, that they'll give me a social worker that happens to be my patient, which would be extremely strange and bad and weird. Or because also, I've met these social workers when they're at their worst, when they are burnt out, and I write them a sick leave. So I know how much they can hate their jobs. And that is not great either for me, to have an open mind over these social workers. But so anyway, I'm trying to, keep an open mind, realize that they really love their jobs, be like that. But wow, I feel really worried, So in the end, I ended up filling out the papers and sending it in. And I'm really glad for that. But it was like it scared me so much. And it made me realize like, wow, I actually am I'm a disabled person and I need help. But it's weird when you've never thought of yourself that way before, when you're used to doing everything on your own. Then there's also the fact that, I have to keep this mask on all the time. And I'm not saying just in social interactions, I'm saying just in general in life, that there are certain ways that people expect you to do things and to be. And, so I'm a competent doctor downstairs, but upstairs I'm like, a mess. And then, I can't say to everybody like what I'm actually struggling with, If I told my boss, I might lose my job. If I told my landlord, I would lose my home. And I know how people talk about people around them, and they're not very kind to certain people. My boss was talking about how his son, who's 16, has ADHD, and how lazy he is because he can't brush his teeth in the morning. And he did not realize that I was sitting there and that I hadn't brushed my teeth that morning either. Which, it's these microaggressions throughout day-to-day life as an autistic person that's how I'm asking. I've been in that world thinking that I was a neurotypical one, but it's awful when you realize how terrible people think of people who can't do things, because you're unable to do certain things, or you have a lot of struggles doing certain things. then, people will judge you really terribly, and they will laugh about you behind your back. And so, yeah, I can't talk about this to anyone really. I can only talk to you guys, I guess, which I guess is a bit cathartic that I can tell you guys, and that I can tell my best friend. But, other people they've constructed an image of me, and I can't really change that. And I talked a little bit to my friend because, well, we're LGBTQ plus whatever. So we kind of relate in that, people of different minorities, especially like LGBTQ, we walk around life and having to hide who we really are, because everybody assumes that you're cis and straight, when it's not the case. And they're just these passing comments where it's like, you just pretend to be normal, to laugh along with the joke. It doesn't even need to be like really offensive. It could just be, that somebody says, oh, my husband is like this, haha, he can't, he doesn't see how, he doesn't clean the toilet seat after him or something, haha, expecting you to also have a husband or a boyfriend or something who doesn't clean the seat. There are certain, and then you're sitting there like, oh, well, first of all, I'm not interested in guys. And also, second of all, maybe I wouldn't notice if, the hoovering wasn't done great, A lot of women will complain about how their husbands don't realize that things are out of place until it is really, really dirty. Well, for me, I never notice that things are out of place unless it's my space and somebody else has changed something. And also, I won't notice the dust until it's really, really dusty. And so in a way, like, okay, there I relate to the husband, I don't relate to their frustration with the husband. And it's hard when you live in a world where you never relate to anybody, and you're supposed to pretend that you relate to everybody in order to be liked, in order to be respected. And if they knew about how your life really looked like, then they would not talk to you in this way. They wouldn't respect you in this way. I would lose the confidence of the people around me. And yeah, my ex-INFJ friend, for example, he said that he would never wants to be friends with somebody who didn't shower at least every other day. And he didn't know that I didn't shower. I shower 2 or 3 times a week. If I'm lucky, it's 3 times a week, which, and when I'm extremely depressed, then it's maybe once a week. I will wash other parts of my body, but it's not like, and so people who have, you would lose the respect of the person that you love as soon as you say something that you're not able to do. And so I always have to live that double life, and it's strange because I feel like I'm a very authentic person and that I overshare in a way, but in other ways it's like I've built this castle of lies and I've become extremely good at it in order to survive, and I'm manipulating everybody all the time, and I'm an extremely bad person. That's kind of how my brain, it's hard to wrap my head around this, that I've constructed such a good persona of myself, but that I have to keep up in order to keep living. And it's not just about the way that I conduct social interactions, it's also how much they see of me in my life. And so there's a whole part of me that people don't see, and then they're surprised that I have trouble with anything. And it's just, it's such a cognitive dissonance of all of this, and I don't know how to, it's like all these little microaggressions like I was talking about. It tears you down, I'm wearing all this on my body, it's tearing me apart. And then I have to hold all of these lies on top of my back in order to, like a shield, I guess. I have to wear this really heavy shield in order to just live. And then everybody is like, wow, what a gleaming, beautiful shield you have. Like this armor. They're like, wow, it's so beautiful. And then you're like, yeah, but it's really heavy. And yeah, I don't know what to do, because now here I am forced to to my knees to beg for help, and then I hate the fact that I have to get this help, because this help is triggering all of the worst parts of me and hitting all of my weaknesses, and yet I have to do this in order to get better. And then the small things that I have done myself to get better feel so pathetic and lame compared to when people are talking about self-care and they're talking about growth and whatever. For me it's just like brushing my teeth in the morning and showering. Trying to shower 3 times a week is really hard, and I can't even really get myself there most of the time. So I've managed to start a new system, which I'll show you now. So I've written a little calendar here with everything that is green. Every day that is green is that I brush my teeth in the morning. I always brush my teeth in the afternoon before I go to bed, so that's not something that I'm recording. And then every day that is black is where I showered. I've only started this a week and a half ago, and it's actually kind of working, so I'm doing what I can. But, it kind of, yeah, it's kind of this is only going to last maybe 2-3 weeks until it doesn't work anymore, and then suddenly I haven't brushed my teeth in the morning for a whole month. That's kind of how my life works. And for neurotypical people that would go automatically, and this was a good week. I managed to shower 3 times that week, and also I managed to brush my teeth in the morning every day. So maybe it's a sign that the thing is working, but also that were I to tell one of my coworkers that I struggle to brush my teeth, then that would not be good to say, So I don't understand really how I'm able to overshare so much and seem such an open person and very authentic when really I'm just hiding so much. And so it's a weird situation. And so I sent this question to the Doctors with Autism group that it only has 5 people. I was like, have you needed help from the social services? How do you deal with this? Because on one hand you're seen as this really competent person, and then suddenly you're have to ask for help like a really incompetent person. And then I'm fighting with this, even the fact that I'm saying competent and incompetent is kind of an ableist way of seeing things, but that's because I've lived in this world and have to survive in this world, and that's the way that people talk. And I don't know, I guess that if I knew that I'd been disabled my whole life, then I would see things differently. And also, had I been surrounded by people who were, nice about, people who were having struggles. However, I grew up in a place where, people struggling with things is like bad, like my boss's son is lazy because he can't brush his teeth, or my there are all sorts of things that I'm clumsy, or that I am not trying hard enough or whatever. There are all sorts of different ideas that are going around, and so I've internalized that. So when it comes to unmasking, what is, how far do you want to unmask, and also, do you want to unmask? No. But then how do you deal so that you don't have the mask completely destroying your life? And how do you deal so that you can, express and be your true self? And then how do you deal with this shame of not being able to do things and needing help, and then having a hard time with the help itself, this feels like my worst nightmare is having somebody come and tell me what to do. And they say that, okay, so now that I've sent this in, maybe I could, then I'll have a meeting with social worker, a counselor kind of person, who will then make a plan with me about like what's this home social worker will do with me, and then they'll fix a time for like the first meeting with this person, and I should feel like I have the power to say how I want things to be, like so the person at the Neuro rehab told me, like, write in your paper that this is extremely embarrassing for you and difficult, so that they know this. Also, that I should write that I meet patients, and that the person who helps me should not be my own patient. So yeah, those are things I'm going to take up. She gave me some questions of what to think about before making this plan. So I'm going to be starting with replying to them. And then I'm going to be doing my diagnosis course, which will be, it will start at the end of April. So I have that to look forward to. I also have Aurora. I want to go to her concert at the end of April, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so there has been a lot going on. I have had really positive things happen in that at work. Like I did a practical examination on Monday, and it went really well. I was actually she was actually impressed by my performance, which it was a performance, I did a really good job, and saying all these things the way I was supposed to and everything. So I think that that's kind of a positive of all this, is that I know how to put on an act. Then I will have to film myself with several patients, and I guess that this YouTube channel has helped me with being comfortable in front of a camera and talking. But yeah, so there are certain things that are happening that are positive, but I had a really bad day because of all this, so I'm going to end the video on here. I realize that it is a little bit heavy, And I don't want to go too much into my mental health struggles, because I think that maybe these things can be a little bit relieved once I get to finally talk to a therapist. Because I was getting quite worried, and so I talked to the physiotherapist I was talking to today. Yeah, I want to know about people who are newly diagnosed autistic as an adult. How do you deal with this sort of shame of getting accommodations, this certain dichotomy between like the masked version of who you were, who could manage a bunch of stuff, and then the real mess of who you maybe are behind the scenes. I'd be interested to know about that. I feel extremely ashamed about my whole being right now, so I'd appreciate if people don't go like actually talking about hygiene routines with me. I don't want to talk about hygiene routines because it just stresses me out at this point. But I'm trying, so that's better than nothing. But yeah, so tell me what you guys think. Have a great day. Bye.